Stephen of the family Aspinall, from Burnley, Lancashire, England, obviously. That's the landmass, not the corporation. My background is, since 1996, I've made my living by growing the hemp plant, yeah? Which is not harming anybody, and we're all entitled to free trade, levy exchange, trade and barter, yeah? Now, the reason I got into this is because I got told that it was lawful, which I'd always ever felt it was lawful, yeah? And so that's how I made my living since 1996, yeah? Law, but classed as outlawed, wrongly outlawed. I went to see a mate of mine called Matt. I'd met the guy on a plumbing course when I was training to be a plumber. Yeah. Now the guy who was kind enough, he was a Corgi engineer, plumber, yeah, and gas fitter, and he gives a lift as we do in his apprentice, and he taught us a lot. Yeah. So I know this guy was an educated man, you know, a few years older than myself. Anyway, when I went to see Matt with a young lad who did the training with, he turned around and told me that I could grow weed lawfully, yeah, and told me about this Magna Carta, and obviously my first response was, you know, way, kiss it, you know what I mean? Anyway, when I've left, I only had half an hour, I've gone, and I couldn't sleep at night because I kept thinking, right, this Peter I know is an intelligent man, yeah, if it had been a crackhead or something who'd have turned around and said it, I wouldn't have believed him, yeah. So after 2 weeks, I come back into area, went to see Matthew, he rung Pete, I went down to see Pete, he ended up brilliant man, downloaded a load of files for me, yeah, gave me a lot of information to watch, which a lot was Rob Menard, Hero, yeah, and I watched me learning his stuff, understanding the legal fiction, and of course, every time I was reading and finding out more, I was getting more and more mad because of the way they'd been treating me over the years and classing me as an outlaw when it's actually them who's the outlaws and the villains, yeah, the more you read and understand what's actually going on, yeah. So then I started reading it, yeah, and started understanding it more and more, yeah, and this is what you've got, you know, anyone who is interested in going into this, you must really get and understand the basic thing, and that is your legal fiction and the difference between yourself being a man and not being the fictional name, yeah? And I think that's very important, you know, because that's the key to everything, isn't it? Once you've got that understanding, you can progress to another level. Now I just thought, right, I can learn a bit, step out of society and get on with doing what I've been doing, but at least it'd be lawful. But of course then you have to test things. Yeah, so paperwork were done, I wrote to the Queen the 2 affidavits, I claim claim a right, yeah, which is basically making your own law, yeah, and having a contract between yourself and the private corporation known as United Kingdom, yeah, and then I also served a private contract to the Prime Minister, which was Gordon Brown at the time, yeah, stating that I was withdrawing all consent to legislation and rules, and in fact that I was not a legal fiction. I was a living man with a big soul, yeah? Because you've got to look, the word person is a very interesting word, yeah? Because it basically means the human body with no soul, yeah? And it also means corporation as well, which is why you can never actually own anything as a person. So whatever you think you own, you don't really own. The United Kingdom is a company. It might as well be Tesco's, Asda, yeah? That private company, yeah, has a contract to the name, which is a legal fiction, yeah? Now, if you claim to be the name, the legal fiction, you're contracted under all legislated rule, yeah? It's like working for a company, yeah? So when you actually write in, and when I wrote to the Prime Minister, another affidavit explaining that we'd revoked all my consent to legislated rule, yeah, which brought me into this common law rule, yeah, then I'm not working for the corporation, the United Kingdom. I actually live in a landmass known as England, and has been known as England for a long time, or Britain, yeah? I don't live in the United Kingdom, it is impossible. Well, my first experience, yeah, is because I used to be a football hooligan in the 80s and all this. I know I've still a lot of friends in there, and now I'd informed this about what were going on, yeah, and so I'd only seen him about 3 times in 3 months because I was in studying, yeah, and learning the law. So, me being me, I won't shut up about it, and I'm drilling in about this law, that law, this law, and they're all looking at me as though I'm daft, as usual, that. Anyway, what I did then is I thought, right, they're always surrounded with police and getting annoying, you know, even if they're doing no. So it was a football match, so what I did is we were playing Leeds actually, so there were a massive police presence, and they'd all surrounded the lads in the pub. So what I did, they were riot police there, they were out with cameras, surrounded the pub, vans, everything like they usually do. There was a gap between 2 Black Mariahs, so what I did is I went and parked in between them, yeah? Then I went into the pub to see my mates, and when I said to him they were moving to another pub. So when I come out, I said, oh, I'll give you a lift. I walked out, this policeman says, oh, policy enforcement officer, should I say, shouts to me, is this your motor vehicle? To me reply, well, no, it's my automobile. So he said, because it were on double yellow lines, he said, and what do these lines mean to you? I said, well, actually, they mean all to me. I'm like, yeah? He said, do what? I said, they actually mean all to me. I'm a freeman on the land, I stand on the common law only, yeah? That's a legislative rule, it's no standing over me. He said, what's your name? I said, I haven't got a name. I'm called Stephen, what's your surname? I said, I haven't got a surname. He said, what's your surname? I said, I've got a family name. He said, what's your date of birth? I said, I'm not a ship or a vessel, and I can't remember, I couldn't even count at the time, yeah? So then, if you're going to be like that, we're going to take you down. I said, well, that's fine, but I'll just have to warn you, I've got a fee schedule, £5,000 an hour, £5,000 if you want to handcuff me. I said, I would gain all my inalienable rights, went through what you've got, you know, I don't know if people know what to say, but it's something you've got to learn, yeah? And then I asked him if he wanted to contract by offering me hands, to which he refused for some reason. then after 40, I pulled my dictaphone out to record the situation, yeah, which he wasn't happy, and he tried to get it off me. So I started looking at his number. Yeah, he's trying to get off me. The response of the old Bill was to come mob-handed it, all the mufti squads from here to see what was going on. So I turned around to them, and the dictaphoned it. I'm a freeman on the land, I stand on the common law only. If you want to get involved, come and get involved. Yeah, but you know. And so they eventually left because they must have thought, I've had enough of that, yeah? And then I went back to the copper and carried on, yeah? I ended up giving him my name, Mr. Stephen, yeah? And I've got a family name, you write it as a family name, yeah? I can tell you the day I was born as a man, yeah? And as a free man at that, yeah? So he ended up giving me a producer, which I told him, there's no point giving it to me. As I was signing, I put under protest duress without prejudice, which means it can't be used in court. Yeah, I signed it as Stephen of the family Aspinall. Yeah, so he was happy to give me that. He'd never give me out for parking on double yellow lines for some reason, I don't know. Anyway, after 40 minutes, all my mates had left me, by the way, saying, oh no, he was on that Freeman stuff, he'll be there for ages, and they went on to the next pub. Yeah, so then I ends up getting into the car, and he's watching me through window, and I just tore the ticket up and drove off, and that was it. You know, I don't know if I got a fine or not for it. See, myself being myself, and which I advise everybody not to do, and this is it. Yeah, don't do what I did. Every time I seen a traffic warden, I sat there and waited until they put a ticket on, usually putting wipers on double speed, so they'd have to put it on in corner. Yeah, and then every time I must say, I'd not had a speeding ticket for 20 years, right? And since I got this, I went, every camera I got, I actually went and sped up on purpose, yeah, because I wanted to try my paperwork, see if they work, yeah? Anyway, to the extent I was going home at 1:30 in the morning, I went through in its light and this camera went off. I looked at the clock, I was only doing 36. I thought, oh, that's not good. So I turned around and went through, a minute later doing 46. I thought, that's not good, so I drove back down the road, and 2 minutes later I come back doing about 56, so I got three tickets in 4 minutes over, whatever it worked out at, 3 minutes. Well, the claim of right basically is, we all stand under common law if you live in Britain, Yeah. Now the basic common law is quite simple really, and if everyone could abide by the common law, then there'd be no reason for have any other law. Yeah. Now the four concepts of the common law, to my understanding, are you don't injure or wound in any way, shape or form, being mental, physical. Yeah. You don't vandalise property. You don't defraud on a contract or rip anybody off, yeah, and you don't thieve. And apart from them, yeah, there's no other laws you have to stand under, unless they're legislated rule. Now what I've done is, when you put a claim of right, I have claimed a right for free trade, exchange and barter, yeah, you're writing your own law. Yeah, and you're putting it down, and as you send it as an affidavit, and they note it down and put it on the record, and that is your private contract. So anything you put in your private contract is your personal law, and it stands for yourself, the man, between the man and the corporation. I'd suggest to anybody, yeah, is you've got to look at Rob Menard's work and read it and understand it, which it goes through and it explains your fee schedule. That is basically, if they want to come and talk to you, or they want you to respond to letters, they charge you for a letter, so you tell them what you're going to charge them for a letter. If they want you in court, you give them your price. I think I'm 500 quid an hour. In fact, it might be going up to, I'm getting better at this law stuff. Yeah, but I'll be putting that on one of my claims. Yeah, but and your claim of right is, obviously, if they assault me in any way, shape or form, if they use any kind of spray against me or electronical device against me man and my body, yeah, I've given them, I think I've insured it for £1 million. Yeah, but you can guard yourself about against what they're going to do. Yeah, so you're basically creating your own fee schedule. So if they want to take you to jail, I think I'm £5,000 an hour. Yeah, for if they unlawfully detaining you or kidnapping you. Yeah, but if you put your fee schedule in, and then when you're going through your process of your courts, yeah, you can add the fee schedule on your, you know, and close a copy and work to your fee schedule. So if actually when you win your case, because you have to, if they follow their own due process, yeah, then you get paid out on your fee schedule just like the lawyer would get paid. What you're actually doing, when you're creating your private documents to either your claim a right, yeah, or to the Prime Minister, or if you had a problem with somebody, any man or woman for anything, or what you do is you serve them an affidavit, a commercial affidavit, right? And all you're doing is you're suing them in the private, not going through the public sector, because that's why you never win anything, because they're all in the same boat. This is why no police has ever been done for any of the killings that's been done in custody, because their own people are searching. Yeah, but you can do it in the private, and this is what you're actually doing with your commercial liens. Yeah. Now, if you serve someone a letter, yeah, the honourable time is 21 days. That's what they do in their law. So, whatever point you've got, say, for example, you've been pulled over in car, you've been unlawfully detained. So what you do, you write an affidavit, which is basically a statement of the truth, which is your truth, right? So what you do is write exactly what's happened, as though you were writing it in your diary, but it's got to be, you know, as much information the better, point to point. So I was pulled over unlawfully by so-and-so, so-and-so. They asked me to produce this. I said whatever, but you have to go in word for word. Like when if you've ever been done and you're writing a statement, it's just your statement, but it's your truth. Yeah, so then you was unlawfully assaulted when they put the handcuffs on you. Yeah, you was then unlawfully put into a police vehicle and transported to whatever station. You were unlawfully detained there. Point to point, you put in your words. Then what you do is you serve that to whoever's done it, and you give them the 21 days for it to come back. Yeah, and challenge any point on there. Yeah, which they can't because it's your truth. Yeah, so then what happens after the 21 days, you send them what's known as a notice of default, which is confirmation of they haven't rebutted anything or challenged anything in that previous document. So therefore, because they haven't challenged it, by a law of acquiescence by a stopple, that is a lawful document. But the first document is only lawful once you serve the notice of default. There's no point sending the first document because without the second it's not worth nothing. Now I must say now, and this is something that we've only just found out, right? Complaint, what you're doing is that's your complaint, but a proper complaint is known as a bill of exchange. So on the first document, you'd put a commercial lien, notice of distress, because they've caused you the distress, yeah? Bill of exchange, right? And on a bill of exchange, you've got to have the drawee and the drawer, the date. Now what you've got to do is you've got to provide them with a remedy, yeah? Now a remedy would be for whatever situation. You'd put, right, if you wanted, your fee schedule was £5, you were in there for example, myself, I think I did 13.5 hours, so mine will have 13.5 hours times £5, plus £5 or something for each or so, and taking your prints, etc. So they'll be but you've got to provide the remedy on it, yeah? Because if you create a complaint, yeah, you've got to provide the remedy, yeah? So the bill of exchange needs the remedy, the drawee, drawer, and the date. I've put a complaint in as an affidavit, which is my truth. So this is what I've been trying to get him to accept. Yeah, because that's my facts of what happened in there as my truth. And that's what I want to plead guilty to. They unlawfully assaulted me by handcuffing me, and detained me for 13.5 hours, etc., etc. They're the only facts I'm going to plead to, and that is the truth. Yet they will not accept them. Because on their facts, what they want me to accept, they have this thing about a charge under such and such legislation. Well, that's not to do with me. I'm not in the Law Society. I'm a Freeman. Yeah, you know, so they've got nothing to do with me. My facts, my truth, yeah. All day, every day. I haven't done any harm. I haven't brought no lawsuit. So what am I doing studying? Well, you always send anything, and this is what we've actually been doing. Recorded delivery or registered post, depends how important the document is, but what we've actually been doing is you can get a roll of them off post office, but what we do is we actually photocopy the sticker where they have to sign, and we put one on every page of the document we send. So if it's only on the envelope, they're only accepting the envelope. If you've got the signed thing on each one, you have to sign for every document. Get your registration and keep it, yeah, because that's your proof for when you go to court. A notary public, well, basically that's the seal of the Vatican. That's what it is, yeah. That's what makes your document lawful, because they work in the private. It stems back from the church. They've got the power of the church, which is a law upon its own, you know, higher than any. I was lucky enough, about 7 of us managed to get over the notary. I think it might have been April, May. Now, since then, when we tried to go back and get some more off him, he'd been off ill, and he's not been back since. Since then, every notary we've tried to get hold of has refused to do it. We've actually been sat in front of one, because I went to get a lien witness. I wanted him to witness something for a lien I were doing. Anyway, we've gone down. Yeah, we've tried every which way we can. Why don't you do it in the public sector? Because it's a private thing. We want justice, yeah. He tried to tell me the instrument I'd created, which I'd just told you, which was what we just explained not long ago, right? We actually ended up reading word for word the oath he took out to him to get the job, which actually states that they are to provide the service to any man or woman and for any tool or instrument. And what's in the instrument's actually nothing to do with them, right? But the bloke still refused. Yeah, and we've been refused off notaries all over the country. Yeah, we had someone went to 6 notaries in one day. I've been telling him that he was new into it. I've been telling him you won't get one, you won't get one. He went to 6 in a day. In the end, he rung at some head of a notary who said 800 of them had had a meeting that day or the day before, and they were going to refuse to do any more of these affidavits, etc., which realistically they should be kicked out the job then, because their oath is to do it for any man or woman for any instrument. There's an old law, which is what we were cross-examining the notary, we actually brought it up as if anything had been amended from the first Bill of Rights, and he stated no. So what you can do is you can have 3 good men instead of a notary, which is 3 good men. So any man can witness. It's only the proof of you're the man signing that document. And it's your truth, and you're obviously doing it under oath because it's to do, So that's you testifying. The word testify means to put your balls on the line, testicles. That's where it originates from. That's why women weren't allowed in courts originally. You're telling the courts, you're asking them to prove they've got jurisdiction over you, which they haven't as a man, without consent, right? So you're asking them to state the case, right, which is asking them to prove the jurisdiction so it can go ahead. Where's the signed contract between me and yourself to prove, show me some kind of evidence you've got authority over me, which they cannot do. So what, you ask them to state the case and they can't do it, so you then have to apply for a judicial review, which is a judicial decision on that decision, which is the proof of authority in a court. What are we doing to return everything headed to the fiction? I just put NC, no contract, return to sender. Now what I should have been doing is getting receipts and me returning the post, if I was going to do it that way, but what they've done is they carry on and class them as you've been deemed service, and they'll do the name in the absence anyway. And this is how I found out, because I'd just been returning everything to the fiction, no contract. I've got my cousin's about 10 years younger than me, and since I found out about this, he's a solicitor. I told him I was the new sheriff in Burnley. The new law's been ripped and we've been having a crack, so if he rings me, I'll see him, it's hiya sheriff and blah blah. Anyway, he rings me up one morning about 9:30. Hey sheriff, if you want to defend yourself, you're in court. So, all right, tell him I'll be down. I've got a bit cocky because I'd spent, once a week, twice a week going into court, either for other people or... So I've gone in, I said it straight, I'll get it adjourned. So I've gone running down, just woke up, I was actually up for my sentencing. So what I'm saying there, if you return your letters, no contract, the actual clerk of the justice, said she'd class him as deemed, which is again on due process, Now, I had at the time, the magistrates were trying to send me down for contempt, which they can't. In fact, we actually know now we can send them for contempt, But I had him raging at me, threatening me with contempt because I wouldn't get in the stand. I demanded my right, which was, I had to get an adjournment. I didn't know nothing about the case, I was set under oath. So, eventually, they wouldn't give me a re-adjournment for a trial, but they adjourned it for a week, for sentencing, which on due process again, so, So I asked if I could deposit my affidavit, which we talked about earlier. When I went to court the following week, I asked where my affidavit were, and they actually said they've no standing in this court whatsoever. And the reason is because it's not an actual court. It's only an administrative court. And whilst you're studying a magistrate's court, there's never even a judicial decision ever made. But everyone going in presumes it is. It's just a big con. And we found the truth, and that's what we're trying to expose. Well, all it actually is an it might as well be an office, because all it deals with is administration. There's not actually any just judicial decision that made there. It's a contract. It's a contract court, which is and it's a legislative court. If you don't want to contract, you don't have to. You've got the right to revoke your consent to any of the proceedings. Your magistrates, again, this is legislation. Your magistrates at court is actually classed as a vessel. Yeah, this is why you stand in a dock. Yeah, because they class your person as a vessel, and the legislation you're ruled under is actually admiralty law. Yeah, legislated law. So your magistrates is admiralty law run. Your magistrates is your administration, which is admiralty. Yeah, then you go to the crown, which I'm finding out, I think again, is admiralty. Yeah, and what they always do and how they use the fear tactic. 80% of people go into magistrates court and plead guilty, so that the revenue is 80% guaranteed. Yeah. Now what they use is the threat of taking you to Crown Court, which is actually supposed to be a common law court. Yeah. But the sentences are more severe. So they use the threat, if you get found guilty at the Crown Court, yeah, then you'll get a bigger sentence or a bigger fine. You know, the magistrates can only deal with, I think, 6 months. It used to be, I think, 6 months jail sentence. That's all they could give you at a magistrate. So if they think it's more than that, it might be wrong now, it might be 12, but I'm talking a few years ago. But they use you the threat, you can have 6 months, yeah, or a fine here, but if you go and take it to Crown, you might get 2 or 3 years. So they intimidate you into pleading and doing your business at the magistrate's court. Probably best giggles I've had when I forget magistrates, because they don't really know what they're doing, but my 2 experiences in Crown, I were in Crown, I stood there, I walked into court as they're shouting for the legal fiction in corridor. I walked round with my little file and asked the defence barrister if he could get up, he were in my place. And to the response where he actually started getting up, and the prosecution barrister stood up and said, only barristers are allowed in here. And I said, well, could you show me the rule or law that it actually states that? So then I had the giggle with the judge, who are you? You can stand behind. Whereas I'm responding, well, I'm here as a third-party representative. Well, are you Mr. Aspinall? No, I'm not Mr. Aspinall, I'm Stephen of the family Aspinall. Well, are you Mr. Aspinall? No, I'm Stephen of the family Aspinall. Yeah, and then he's saying, stand there, stand there. Is Mr. Aspinall here then? I said, well, seeing as though he's a fiction, sir, we'll say he is. Yeah. And then to that, the reply was, he's not here, shout for him. So the usher goes out and starts shouting, Mr. Aspinall, like they do, the little charade, the game that they're playing, yeah. It's come back, so then they says to me, well, we're gonna put a failure to attend warrant and arrest you. I ask you again, are you Mr. Aspinall? And they reply, no, I'm Stephen of the Aspinall family. Well, we'll assume we are. So I just let them carry on. And this is a line that it was the first time I'd actually used in court, which were great, because we don't have to argue about jurisdiction or anything. So they carried on reading the charge. So when I stood up, I said, I plead guilty. After they read the charge, I plead guilty to the facts on my affidavit, sir. Yeah, but before, the first thing I said when I stood up is I said, I deny all the court's presumptions and assumptions today. Yeah, which basically means any presumption or assumption, you haven't got any more. So it saves going through the argument, but his face was an actual picture. Yeah, unfortunately, I've only got the first 25 minutes on audio, you know, on the video, but it was, so I was playing the game, as you'll read, you know, but one of the best things and funniest things of the whole day. Anyone who gets into this, they might hear a thing called Batman, which is another way, peaceful inhabitant way of acting in court. Anyway, when a few friends who were Freeman originally then had found this, one of the things you say is there's been a mistake. Well, me and my other friend, the other Freeman, had been laughing to each other for 3 months every time he's run. There's been a mistake. It's having a private joke. Anyway, when I've actually been pleading guilty to the affidavits and the facts, and they've said, no, you're sentenced. But I'm not going to send you down today, because we're going to have to do pre-sentence reports, and the probation's going to have to obviously want to know a lot about you. I started thinking to myself, sentence? I said, excuse me, sir, there's been a mistake. I in fact pleaded guilty to the facts in my affidavit. I don't stand under the charge. He said, well, when I was reading the charges out, you pleaded guilty to all the charges. But what had happened, I'd been being cocky, and I was saying, Guilty, 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 but I was having a laugh with myself. So I said, again, sir, there's been a mistake. I said, I don't stand under their charge, I plead guilty to my facts. He's just, but I've wrote it down. I said, well, you must correct your record, sir, there's been a mistake, right? As I said that, he looked at his head in his hand and he looked at prosecution's barrister and said, well, seeing as though there's only been a time lapse of 5 minutes, we'll have to do it. But in the meantime, I was laughing. The first time I've actually laughed in the charge, and I looked to my friends to look for Peter, who had been giggling about, mistake, it worked, yeah. And as I turned around to see him, there were about 20 barristers who filled the public gallery, yeah. And one of the lads couldn't get in, but it was so funny to actually have a word, laugh about it, and I'd actually been sentenced. And mistake, correct your record, it worked. Well, absolutely fantastic moment, you know. When I put my list of witnesses in, I started with Gordon Brown, David Cameron, Archbishop of Canterbury, CEO at Law Society, CEO at Notary Society, High Sheriff of Justice for Lancashire, Queen Elizabeth, and obviously the plaintiff. To which the judge's response is he paused, looked at me, plaintiff, what do you mean by plaintiff? So I explained, well, at least I need to see an injured third party. As this is a criminal offence, yeah, there must be an injured third party. To which he paused and said, there isn't such a person. Exactly, a person is a corporation, as I explained earlier. Which was my response to this was, well, what am I doing stood here, sir? Yeah, as I picked the Bible up and explained, I'm only here to deal with truth and not fiction. There is no injured third party, just like there is no Mr. Stephen Paul Aspinall. It's a fictional thing and a fictional injury. So therefore, there's absolutely no standing over myself. When we've been at Magistrates Court, we've been there trying to produce and put our evidence in, which is affidavits, which is as lawful contracts. As soon as they accept them as a deposit in a magistrate court, then we have won our case, because they actually understand that you are a man and not the fiction. So they have to deal with you as a man. So they have no jurisdiction whatsoever over you. Yeah? They have to deal with you as a man. So, but what they're doing is they're accepting the prosecution's evidence and refusing to accept our evidence. And I have said to a few district judges, yeah, why are you not accepting my evidence? How could it be a fair trial when you'll accept paperwork they give you but won't accept our paperwork? Now, the reason they won't accept it is because our lawful documents, what we're relying, which of the power of estoppel by accruance, because they haven't wrote back or challenged our law. This is what gives them a maximum lawful document, the estoppel. Yeah? Now, they're not accepting them because straight away they've no jurisdiction. Yeah, but how can it be a fair court if they'll accept evidence of them but not ours? It's undue process. So what we have done is we've found that a way of clearing is for a judicial review, which you can do about any public official, be it parking attendant or anyone you feel is acting out of the jurisdiction. You can go put in for a judicial review. But the first, and that is justice, yeah? They're actually charging you. I put in for one, and I think they were going to charge £75. So the first bit of justice you ask for in this country, you actually have to pay, which I find absolutely ridiculous, like I told them. I've been asking for a court de jure, which is a court with a jury, yeah, and I've got peers in my own society as the jury, yeah, which is a proper land law. That's all it is, it's an act. Yeah, they're actors, they're acting representatives. That's why they put the gowns on and the wigs, because they're actually representing a fiction. Yeah, it's just a one big game, and if you can go in with a confidence knowing it's a big game and learn the games and learn their law, then realistically they should be taking their hats off you and giving you justice. But unfortunately we're finding even lords who sat there, the head of the Crown Court at Preston, yeah, being dishonourable. So where are we going to get justice? See, the thing is, if you do get representation from either the solicitor or a barrister, then they all work for the same company, and they've all taken off to keep, before they actually get a job working for the bar, they have to take an oath which keeps all this legal fiction thing a secret. And this is the reason why it's been a secret for so long. So there's no point even getting a solicitor, yeah, because you've lost straight away. You're consenting, by getting a solicitor, you're consenting to the legislation. Yeah. Now, if anyone is struggling and hasn't got the confidence to go in the cell, we're trying to get something nationally set up, which is going to be his own national law firm, yeah, with his own branches of specialists. We can provide the remedies that have worked. We can tell people what don't work, and if they need representatives to go in, we can go in and represent them. Yeah, knowing they're going, because we might just know a bit more of law, or we can handle the courts better. Yeah, so there will be representation for people who haven't got the confidence to do it. Yeah, but the thing is, eventually, they need to learn up and they'll get the confidence. I've been asking to actually get on and do it. I mean, to myself, I actually love it. You know what I mean? There's been no better for me than to be able to challenge these authorities. Yeah, that's been suppressing them by lies and deceit for so long. So for myself, and obviously a lot of people, when they find out how much they have been deceived, yeah, will be confident in the cell to go out and seek their own remedy, yeah, and to be able to stand there and ask questions and have judges or magistrates not being able to understand, not being able to answer your questions and actually showing them how to be liars and deceitful. It's just fantastic. Yeah, it's the best remedy I've had. You know, it just makes it all worthwhile to me. You know, now other people might have other ways of, you know, but the thing is that if you're taken out and you become the complainant, we've got to be, it's a spiritual thing, we've got to be able to provide the remedy. I'd be quite happy with a thank you publicly. Yeah, I'm not bothered about what's happened, but I want and just to be left alone, to look after myself. Yeah, and every one of us have got the right to do that.